Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Q&A. Yes, I'm already, like, a day after posting the previous announcement for it, already going to start answering some of the questions because, oh boy, there's a lot. So I better get started, really. Bit sooner. I was going to originally leave this up for like a week, and then I completely underestimated how many of you were going to ask me questions and stuff. So, yeah, that's interesting. Also, no, hang on a second. One moment. And now we have actual sound in the game. Isn't that wonderful? So, yeah, apologies for that. I got a brand new headset today, and I'm still working out the kinks with my audio setup with it. So, apologies for that. That's that good old-fashioned SorcererDave production value you've come to expect from me, folks. So, anyway, here we are at... What's this place called again? Lakeview Manor, that's it. Claudius's retirement home. I can give you the tour before we get started, I suppose. And this loading screen might take a little while because the game is no longer installed on an SSD, so... oh dear. Also, I'm boiling right now, so I might have to take a break as we go through these questions. And the game is freezing up. Okay, right, it was loading in stuff like the mannequin there. I was like, I'm sure I put armor on that thing. Okay, cool. So, here it is. This is from the Hearthfire DLC, obviously. Kind of wanted a house to put all my stuff in, and Claudius was always fond of this particular bit of the world here, down here in the, in Falkreath Hold. So, this was the place I chose to build the house. You can see all of his bits and bobs that he collected over the years on various displays and things. Even went back to Solstheim and gathered a few things, as you can see. Like that. Remember when I was using that? Good times, eh? It's ages ago. I forgot I even had that thing until I went back to Solstheim and found it. Here's the armory. Where again, we've got more stuff, including Mirak's horrible technical broadsword and his staff. That was the steel plate armor that Claudius wore for, like, at least an entire chapter, I think, if not a bit more. More swords and stuff. That's the old wolf armor from chapter 3 or 4. I think it was 4, though. That's an empty display case, because the display cases are weird. If you put stuff in them, they go berserk whenever you re-enter the room. That's the old mannequin that's not behaving itself still. With, of course, his endgame Alduin dragon-slaying armor, with Mirak's mask on the top there, and his big fancy cloak and everything. That's what we were wearing when we finished the game. There's his old Legion armor, at least... What bits of it I could still find, by which I mean pretty much only the torso bit was left. I left it lying around in Jorvaska in one of the spare rooms. I don't know where the rest of it got to. There's, of course, the Dragonbone Ebon Steel Heavy Shield, which we used for a stupendously long time. Codalac's Revenge, the big nasty hammer, that was really never ever outclassed in the end. It was just sort of too OP for its own good. And Iceblade of the Monarch, which was also good. Not as good, but it did look cooler. And there's the Nordic carved armor, I think, with the Shield of Isgramor from and one of the masks from chapter 4 or no 5. I think it's 5. Yeah, it was chapter 5. And more bits and bobs, as you can see. That's sort of all the interesting stuff, really, to be honest with you. There's Wilson guarding the door, perpetually making lots of noise. Yeah. So, there's Miko. Hello, dog. Greg will be around here somewhere. Faithful housecarl. He's now a steward, so I suppose Greg's also retired now, really. He's a steward now instead of a housecarl. Here's the weird door that doesn't lead anywhere. Here's all the shrines. One is missing, you may notice. And it's not Talos, actually. There's a reason it's missing. There's another mannequin with some dragon priest stuff on it. The forge. Never quite understood the forge layout down here. Like, I don't know how anyone down here doesn't die of, like, carbon monoxide poisoning or whatever, since there seems to be no way for the smoke and fumes to escape. What with it being in the basement and all, but whatever. So the game was like, oh, you could have the forge in the basement, so... Forge is in the basement. So anyway, I think... Ah, and there is the... There's the gigantic roasted ox leg we rescued from Sovngarde, which is now refusing to behave itself, and also... Variax! Get off my screen! Yeah. Turning on notifications was actually the worst decision ever. I don't know how I'm going to get rid of that now. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Apparently pressing home got rid of that, which is awkward because home is my recording key. It starts and stops the recording, so... Damn it, Variax! Frickin' notifications ruining my video! Ugh. Anyway, so... let's head back up onto the tower. I suppose I could give the outside tour as well, to be fair. That's a thing. Do I have any weapons on me right now? We've been attacked by a giant once or twice here. There's like a giant spawning area. Although, I think it was also because I have a cow. Yeah, we have a cow. And I think that's why the giants keep coming. We have... Oh, there's our neighbor over there. I think there she is. Stood next to the altar there. Necromancer neighbor. Who, we keep killing any skeletons she summons. With a bow and arrow. But can't seem to make her go away. She's actually not hostile NPC. She's a talky, interesting NPC. So I haven't murdered her in cold blood, but we've made it clear that none of this necromancy summoning shenanigans are to be tolerated on my premises. So anyway, let's enjoy the view, I suppose, and I'll get started on some of these questions. So I got a lot of questions. Yes, I did. I got so many questions, actually, I'm going to have to scroll through the page, which means that I'm going to need to change the recording mode in this so that I actually can scroll through the page. That's awkward. Unless I have a pause button here I can use. Yeah, I can pause the recording. Okay, so that's fine. So, without further ado... Oh, wait, no, there was one other thing before we get started. To the 65 million of you, approximately, who all asked... When is Oblivion coming back? Or, when is Morrowind coming back?
Watch the latest channel update video, please.
That is all. Thank you. So, getting on with the questions. Many of these have been asked more than once. A lot of them have, in fact. So, if I didn't answer your question, that's probably the most likely reason why, actually. Someone else already asked it. So I'm going to kind of group all of those questions that were the same or similar into one answer, if that's okay with you, to avoid repeating myself too much. And I will try and get through these answers quite quickly. I hope it doesn't come across as me being too dismissive or something, but there are so many of them. We are going to be here all day answering them if I don't try and speed it up a little bit. So, yeah... If some of my answers are a bit short, that's why, basically. And I don't want to be in here all day right now, because we're in the middle of a heat wave in the UK here. And because I'm recording right now, I have all of the doors and windows closed, and there's no air conditioning, and I am baking alive right now. I am caked in sweat. It is so fucking hot in this room right now. So I'm going to try and speed things along for that reason too. So anyway, question 1. This one comes from Sean Crowley. Scroll through the stuff. Oh. He just asked, when's the next episode of Skyrim? Just kidding. Lols. And then said congratulations. So that's not actually a question, though, as far as I can see. Nope. Alright, so moving on. This one comes from God's Fist. Did you enjoy some of the fake fanfiction Black Horse Courier articles? Yes, I thought they were quite amusing. It was nice to see people getting invested in the story a bit. So yeah, I'm assuming they were talking about the ones on in the comments for the Oblivion videos with Arthur, because if so, yes, I found them very amusing. Gustav Carlson asks, what is your favorite airplane? And I'm going to have to move the camera around, otherwise we're going to get stuck in spinning vanity cam mode, and nobody wants that. Oh, I'll tell you what I could do, actually. There we go. It's nice and cinematic. Cordy's sat in his chair looking out at the view. Right, so Gustav Carlson asks, what is your favourite airplane? My favourite airplane is the Supermarine Spitfire. Not a very original answer, but I can't tell you a lie. It is my favourite. God's Fist asks another question. Double dipping there, I see God's Fist. Cheeky, but okay. What was your favourite playthrough on the channel? It's difficult to pick just one. Oh, honestly, favourite playthrough, I want to say maybe Chapter 5 of Let's Play Skyrim. That's definitely a contender. Chapter 5 was, of course, the Dragonborn DLC. If I'm allowed to count one chapter as a playthrough. If not, then I don't know. The Neverwinter Nights playthrough, even though you guys haven't seen all of it yet, I have recorded all of it. The Neverwinter Nights playthrough, and I don't want to say too much here that will spoil things, but the Neverwinter Nights playthrough I'm particularly pleased with. I really, really enjoyed playing that. And honestly, the latest Halo one, the Halo SPV3 playthrough, and the reason I really liked that one is because, well, A, I had a blast playing it in spite of all the technical bullshit. You know, the sort of thing that would normally make me rage quit trying to record a game. I enjoyed Halo so much that I was willing to soldier through all that bollocks, which is kind of rare, to be honest. But also because it had a knock-on effect on me. Playing through that game from start to finish really kind of reminded me of just how much I actually really, really loved that series back when the first 3 games came out, when I was playing it on the Xbox and stuff. I really, really adored Halo a lot more than I previously kind of realized. I don't know if anyone else has had that thing before sometimes where you actually forget how much you really do like a game. Whenever someone comes up to you and asks you, oh, what's your favorite series of games? And you always give the obvious answers that you've been playing more recently, but then actually you go back and play something from that long ago, and you realize, holy shit, this was really good. I was really into this back in the day, and I'm kind of feeling that way again now. I mean, after I finished recording the SPV3 playthrough, I went and played all of the other Halo games. I played on console, obviously not PC. I played through Halo 2, Halo 3. I played through Reach for the first time ever. I'd never played Reach before. And the same goes for Halo 4 and Halo 5. I played those as well. I wasn't overly impressed with the last 2, especially Halo 5. I was really losing the plot with that one on multiple levels. But playing 2 and 3 again was magnificent. I was like, oh my god, these games were so good. I forgot how good they were. And Reach was a really, really pleasant surprise because people had told me it was really good, and I was worried that they'd overhyped it a bit because that can happen sometimes. And no, actually, it turned out it was really good, and I really enjoyed it. Narratively, it tickled a few it scratched a few itches that I quite like in a story. It reminded me a lot of reading a 40k novel called No Fear, which is about, if you're familiar with, vaguely familiar with Warhammer 40,000, it's about the Battle of Calth in 40k. And the Battle of Calth in 40k is a lot like the Battle of Reach in Halo. They're very similar, in fact, in some ways, and at least anyway. And so, by association, I suppose that's probably one of the things that made me really like Reach, because I was like, oh, this is a lot like the Battle of Calth. This is a lot like No Fear. And also a lot like Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One. To the point where I'm almost slightly convinced some of the people who were responsible for writing Rogue One must have played Halo Reach before, because holy crap, are they basically almost the same story. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed Reach and all of the others. And basically, yeah, so the Halo SPV3 playthrough, while it's probably not everybody's cup of tea, the view count would certainly suggest that. For me, it was probably one of my most enjoyable playthroughs, not only because I enjoyed making the playthrough itself, it prompted me to go back and play a whole shitload of games that I hadn't touched in over a decade. And discover a few new games that I really liked as a result of it too. So, yeah, big thumbs up for me on that one. Those would be my 3 picks really, like Chapter 5 of Skyrim, Neverwinter Nights, and Halo. Might not have been what you were expecting, to be honest with you. I suppose the original Oblivion playthrough with Idris gets an honourable mention. But that one's brought down a little bit by the fact that I had lots of technical issues while recording it, and also, of course, it was never finished, which has always bugged me a little bit. So, but there's the nostalgia there. So, an honourable mention. So I think it's only fair, really. So, what else have we got? Mev says, "Hi Dave, long-time viewer here. Have always loved your stuff. I've been watching since middle school, and I just finished my first year of university. So happy for you and this milestone to many more years of Dave content. Just wanted to ask whatever happened with your flight training, if anything became of it, or it was just a fun thing you wanted to do." Basically, what became of it is that I sat down with an Excel spreadsheet, did some maths, and discovered that I couldn't actually afford to do the pilot thing. So for those that are unaware, for a while I was training to get a private pilot's license. Some people have asked similar questions. Some people seem to be under the impression I was trying to become a professional pilot. I'm not entirely sure what the definition of a professional pilot is. As in, do you mean airline pilot? Or do you mean just someone with a private pilot's license, or what? But for those who don't know, that was something I was aiming to do. And basically, the problem I had was that I could afford, with the money I'd saved up, to actually do the course and get the license. What I could not afford was to continue flying after that. To stay current and do at least one or two flights each week. The expense, long-running expense of that, week in, week out, was just way too high for me to be able to, consistently do that going forwards, even if I'd got the license itself, which I don't think I would have had too much trouble getting. It might sound a bit arrogant of me to say that, but honestly, I don't think it would have been that tricky to do. Because the thing is, I know lots of people, I'm friends with lots of people who are pilots. They have a PPL, and as a result, the whole thing is a lot more demystified for me, and combined with a lot of my simulator experience and stuff like that, and the flying that I have done in the real world, I don't think it would have been very hard. Well, I'm not going to say it would have been easy, but I don't think it would have been something I wouldn't have been too troubled by it, I don't think. But anyway, yeah, so it hasn't gone anywhere, essentially, because I couldn't afford to fly. And I basically just had to decide, well, I can't change the laws of the universe, I can't summon money out of nowhere, so I guess it's going to have to wait for now. One day I do hope to fly. I do hope to get that license. Whether I even get it in this country, I don't know, because it's cheaper sometimes to go abroad and do that sort of thing. But one day I hope to. Maybe in my 30s, I suppose, a bit further along when I'm earning some more money. and that sort of thing, basically. So, assuming like things like my health and my eyesight hold out, of course, that sort of stuff deteriorates as you get older, I guess. But hey, we'll see what happens. Point is, though, I don't have the money right now, so there's nothing I really can do about it. No use crying over spilt milk and all that. So, moving on. Chromius? Is that Chromius? Chromius, I think. Hold on. Yep. Yep, Chromius, I think. That's how I'm pronouncing it today. I don't know what the correct way is, so that's my best educated guess. Says, I've seen some of your Kingdom Come Deliverance streams. Would you consider a playthrough when you have less ongoing projects on your channel? I would consider it, I guess. Well, I don't know. Very long game. Very long game. It would be a big thing to commit to, honestly. I know that I won't even consider it until the game's gone platinum. I will say that right now, until it's had every patch and every DLC released for it, and it's sort of essentially got its Game of the Year edition type deal released. I won't touch it until then, but maybe, because it is a very good game. It is kind of sort of my cup of tea, and I've just noticed that there's a frame rate counter in the top left for some reason. I must have pressed a keyboard shortcut that made that appear. Whatever, who cares? So, Matt Gates and a whole bunch of other people asks, do you think you'll continue your Fallout 4 LP? The answer is I actually honestly don't know. The problem is that I don't really like Fallout 4 very much. I don't like Fallout 4 very much, and the problem with that LP as well was that, you know, when I go into making one of these sort of long-form Bethesda role-played series, I go into it with a defined endpoint in mind for each character. I know exactly how the LP is going to end, more or less, with each of them. With Vathis, I know how it's going to end. With Claudius, I knew how it was going to end, and it's exactly how it did end. Arthur is the same. Idris, well, Idris kind of was the same. And who else? Anyway, yeah, you get the idea. So I know I have a plan in mind every time I start them, and the problem with Fallout 4 was that with Sally, I really didn't have a plan. I had no end point in my mind for where that character was going to end up. And therefore I was kind of playing it by ear and making shit up as I went along with it, and it bothered me, because the problem with Fallout 4 is it really doesn't have a decent end point. I mean, you can finish the main quest, I suppose, but the problem with that is that the game does its level best to rush you through that main quest as fast as possible. Like, entire parts of the game don't even unlock unless you do parts of the main quest. So what ends up happening with Fallout 4 playthroughs is you go through it, you finish the main quest quite early on, then you're sort of left thinking, well, what the heck do I do now? You can work through the DLCs, you can play Automatron, whatever it was called, Bar Harbor and Nuka World, and then after that, you still don't have any kind of real conclusion. You just sort of sat there doing your infinite settlement building of doom, wondering, well, what happens now? And nothing does happen. It's not like with Skyrim, where I was the pacing of it allowed me to be able to like do everything I wanted to do, then go to Sovngarde and punch Alduin in the face until he died. End of LP. You go out on a big bang and a high note. Wonderful. You know, the same is true of New Vegas, for example. That one's going to be a pretty... I know how that one's going to end. It's going to end with the main quest. New Vegas, when you finish its main quest, incidentally, the game just ends. You know, fade to black, cut to credits, off you go. You get the ending slides, and that's it. It's quite neat like that. The same kind of goes for Morrowind. I imagine Morrowind will conclude not with the main quest, but with the ending of Tribunal, because Tribunal is actually an extension, effectively, of the main quest in Morrowind. It's a very weird Bethesda DLC in that regard, because I think it's the only one they ever did, except for Broken Steel, I think, that actually sort of extended the main quest of the game beyond its original point. But yeah, Morrowind will eventually end with Fathis when he finishes Tribunal. Likewise, what else? Arthur's playthrough will finish when he finishes the quest line I want to finish with. I'm trying not to spoil things here. And so on and so forth. So as an example, Idris probably would have ended with the Shivering Isles. I probably would have played through the Shivering Isles, and that would have been the end of that playthrough, with him having ascended to the throne of the Mad God. But with Fallout 4, it's just like, I don't really know what I was going to do with this, honestly. Plus, this is compounded, as I said, by the fact that I don't really like the game anyway that much. I think Bethesda kind of took their gameplay in completely the wrong direction with Fallout 4 on a whole bunch of different levels. People have done huge video essays on the subject. I'm not going to sit here and explain all of that, because much more eloquent people have done it elsewhere, much better than I ever could. But the bottom line is I don't really like Fallout 4 very much, and as a result, I keep trying to come up with some justification for going back and continuing that playthrough, and I never find any. So at the moment, the answer is no. It's not. I don't have any plans to continue it. Wow, I probably took about 15 minutes then to answer something that could have been done in about 2 seconds. So much for me trying to speed things along. Oh boy, we're already at like 20 minutes. No, we're more than 20 minutes, because that doesn't include the footage I had to cut out just earlier. Great, we're probably about 25 minutes, half an hour by now. Oh Jesus, I've only done like 6 questions. Oh God, no. Oh boy, we're going to be here for a while. Okay, so moving along. Who's next? Heart Attack Mash. Will you be doing the Bruma quest line? By this, I assume you mean, will I be doing Beyond Skyrim Bruma, and not some other Bruma quest line I'm aware of? The answer is yeah, probably at some point. That's the plan, anyway. The fact I wouldn't have ordinarily bothered. I don't think. I probably would have waited for the whole of Beyond Skyrim to eventually be completed one day, and then play it. But the fact that Claudius is himself from Bruma. Well, he's not from Bruma, but Bruma was where he was before the events of the main quest in his Skyrim playthrough started. I mean, you can literally go to the border fort that he would have been stationed at in the prologue of this playthrough in Beyond Skyrim Bruma. So it's almost too perfect for this character not for me to not go there. So eventually, at some point, yeah, I probably will play through Beyond Skyrim Bruma with Claudius. So, yeah, you've got that to look forward to. I don't know exactly when that'll happen. I've got other projects I want to bring forward and do first, but it will happen at some point. So, sorry, I keep jogging the mouse and making the view go all over the place. Javonte Peoples asks, although the gaming industry has been very greedy lately, only lately? Anyway, what game are you genuinely excited for that has been announced or rumoured? It's difficult for me to get genuinely excited about games these days, especially new ones. Sounds very grumpy of me, but it's honestly true. Well, let me see. I'm very, very cautiously optimistic about Halo Infinite. The problem with it is that 343 Industries' track record with the Halo series has been a bit awful. And also, Halo has a long history of having really, really misleading E3 trailers, of which this could be another one. You would like to think that maybe not, and they'd actually learned from their mistakes, but just game publishers don't work like this. But assuming what's in the trailer is legit, and what it looks to me like is a kind of open world-ish Halo game, I'm 2 thumbs up all for it. Because over the years, kind of ever since Skyrim came out, you probably noticed there are all sorts of games and game series that suddenly went boom. Oh, we're open world now, because open world was the big newest fad after Skyrim came out and sold 6 bajillion copies. And loads of game series did open world stuff, even when they probably shouldn't have. And yet Halo was always a series that didn't do that, and that was always a little odd to me, because I always felt that the best parts of Halo, i.e. Halo 1, 2, and 3 at least, were the parts where you were in huge open levels with vehicles driving around doing your thing with different objectives in different orders that you wanted to and things like that. Those were the bits I always felt were the best parts of Halo, and I don't think I'm alone in that. And yet, for some reason, Halo, instead of going bigger and better and more open, it got more and more narrow and more tight and more corridor shooty, and essentially just started to try and be more and more like Call of Duty. Now, I've got nothing against Call of Duty. I just wish Call of Duty would stay within Call of Duty. I don't need Call of Duty in my Halo. So that always baffled me a bit. But with Halo Infinite, it looks like they might be doing some sort of huge, massive, expansive open world set on a Halo ring. And on top of that, they've gone back to a lot of the old art style stuff. The Marines look like they used to. The Master Chief looks like he used to. So assuming that is representative of the final product, fucking great. Honestly, that's probably the best news I've heard out of E3 for a long time, to be honest with you, because as I said, I recently went down the whole memory lane trip with all of the Halo series, and I feel a bit more invested in that thing again now after all these years. So I guess the other cool stuff that I've seen recently is obviously the Cyberpunk trailer, which was very impressive, but didn't really tell us much about the game. And aside from it told us lots about the setting, it didn't tell us much about the actual gameplay. And what else? I guess that Ghost of Tsushima game looks kind of cool, I suppose. I'm a big fan of the old Akira Kurosawa movies. Akira Kurosawa, yeah, that's how you pronounce it, I think. There's actually, if it sounds today like I've got some sort of speech impediment, even more than usual, here's my excuse. I'm using the new headset, as I said. It's very good. It's very, very nice. It's very comfy. Way comfier than my old one. The only problem with it is it has slight noise cancelling, and it's really difficult to commentate all of a sudden when I can't quite hear my own voice very clearly. It's weird. It's very strange. I'm going to have to get used to it, but anyway. Was there anything else that I remember? There's nothing that springs to mind immediately, so if there was anything else, it probably wasn't that interesting, so it's probably not worth mentioning. So, he also asked some other questions, and I'm going to have to open up the more replies thing to see more, or the read more thing, so stand by. Oh, okay, Javante's asked like a whole bunch of questions. He's been very cheeky. Alright, so he's also asked, what YouTubers do you watch? Well, I'll tell you what I can do. I can tab out here. I can go to my YouTube video deck app, and I can just literally tell you all of the YouTubers that are on it. So some of these people you probably will have heard of, some of them you probably won't have heard of. Not all of these I actively watch literally every video that comes out. I don't have enough hours in my damn day for that, but they're all people who I try to at least keep up with a bit, to varying degrees. Some of them more than others, but hey. So, and some of these aren't even active anymore, by the way, but I've just got them in the video deck thing in case they do come back and post a video at some point. I want to be aware of it. So, they are as follows in no particular order: Variax, Matt Davies, Frugal Sim, Cat Strater, 1F Jeff, Total Biscuit, at least he was on there. Rip John Bain, you were the best, dude. Gopher, Spiffy Squee, Kikoskia, Lindy Beige, Pem, Tailmange, Wisecrack, Squirrel, Yahtzee, Flight Sim 481, Jeff Faviano, Mr. Kobelman, Pikeworther, Cinema Wins. That's Cinema Wins, not Cinema Sins, by the way. It's a different thing. You should go check it out. It's really good. Jonathan Pye, Kurzgesagt, Military History Visualized, The Nerd Writer, Life of Boris, Noah Caldwell Gervais, H Bomber Guy, Lady Lilia, History Buffs, Alchess Breach, ProZD, Inferno Canuck, Many a True Nerd, Some Guy 2000, Bruva Alpha Boozer, Tabletop Minions, Warhammer TV, Tabletop Tactics, Mini Wargaming, Winter's SEO, Richard Boylan, Moorhammer, Mountain Miniatures Gaming, and Zemulf. And that's the lot. Those are the ones that are currently in my deck right now. There's my actual subscriptions is huge. I subscribe to way too many people, but hey. Those are the ones that are in my video deck thing right now. So yeah, there you go. In case you were curious, those are the people I watch. Infer what you like from that. That's just the people I subscribe to. I also have a kind of a recommended tab on my own channel page, which tells you people as well that I recommend. If you're interested in my stuff, you may also be interested in them, type thing. So yeah. Givante also asks, we're not even close to done with his questions right now, by the way. He also asks, who was your biggest inspiration when you first created your channel? The answer is Variax. He was my biggest inspiration. Love you, dude. Even though your notifications are very annoying. Where do you see the channel by the time the next 25,000 subs roll around? I have honestly no idea. Probably doing the same old shit, to be honest with you. It seems to have worked so far. I don't have any... guys, I'm making this up as I go along, really, for the most part. I don't have that many big plans and stuff. Well, I have I have one or two, but it doesn't really concern this channel specifically, which is what you were asking. So, you know. What sort of movies do you enjoy? I enjoy good movies. I don't have a particular preference. I just like movies that are good. And he says, I know you hate speculating, but what do you honestly think about Fallout 76? And if you can comment on the Elder Scrolls 6 announcement. Brackets. Right, okay, so I had loads of people asking me about both of these things. So I suppose I better nip this in the bud before I call this video a day. The answer... let's discuss Fallout 76 first, because it's the bigger topic. So Fallout 76, I've had lots of questions. What do I think of it? Am I going to play it on the channel? So on and so on and so on and so on. So the general gist is that you probably won't see me play it on the channel. If you see me play it anywhere, it'll be on my Twitch channel, but even that's a little bit unlikely because I'm not much of a multiplayer gamer. I flat out pretty much refuse these days to play any kind of multiplayer game that requires me to play with total strangers, because unfortunately total strangers on the internet turn out to be dickheads most of the time, and they ruin everything. Gone are the days of couch co-op and split screen, which that's the kind of multiplayer I used to enjoy. That and LAN parties, that was the kind of multiplayer I fucking loved back in the day. What I don't love is playing something like Overwatch with complete randoms. That's like a special kind of hell to me, and I'm not interested. So, or something like World of Tanks or something like that. Just no, thank you. No, just no. And Fallout 76, unfortunately, looks like unless they confirm at some point that you can host a private server with only your friends. It looks like it is going to be a game where you have to deal with random shitheads, and I'm not interested in dealing with random shitheads. I don't care if it's got a Fallout Vault Boy sticker on the front of the cover. You're not going to convince me, sorry. The reality is, Fallout 76 is not aimed at me. I'm not the target demographic of that game. So my opinion on it is probably not very useful. Really, because I don't play a lot of multiplayer games like that, so my ability to provide insightful commentary on it is very limited. All I can give you is my personal opinion, and my personal opinion is not that interested, really. Sorry, Bethesda, you're going to have to try something else to grab my attention, I'm afraid. I knew that because there was rumours floating around before the announcement came along about it would have some sort of online multiplayer type thing involved in it. So my hopes weren't very high, but part of me was obviously hoping that it would be a Fallout New Vegas style spin-off single-player RPG. In the style of Fallout New Vegas. And a lot of people were like, well, it was released far too soon to be another single-player Fallout, but Fallout New Vegas was actually released, I think, like a year and a half after Fallout 3, if I recall. 2 years max, I think. Something like that. It was released very quickly after Fallout 3. So part of me hoped that that's what it would be. It would be a case of Bethesda had gone away and decided, right, okay, people didn't like Fallout 4 very much for X, Y, and Z reasons. Let's make a spin-off Fallout, a bit like New Vegas, which with possibly a different team, actually, working at Bethesda, because they've got multiple teams these days, and try and make a game that addresses a bunch of those concerns. But of course, no. Of course, that was very optimistic of me. I don't know what I was thinking. This is 2018. We've got fucking Elder Scrolls card games. We've got Elder Scrolls Online. We've now got Fallout does Battle Royale, effectively. I don't know why I expected anything different. It was probably stupid of me, so hey, whatever. Never mind. The game ain't for me. I might pick it up when it comes out. I might play it with a couple of select friends of mine. Possibly privately, probably not even on stream or in a video or anything like that. But it's not my cup of tea at the end of the day. So, yeah. I wouldn't expect to see a whole lot of Fallout 76 content from me. Sorry. And also, it's got more questions. In fact, this is the last one of Jamonte's questions. Can you remind me why you changed your name from Jingles to SorcererDave, and where did both those names come from? Jingles, I don't remember. It was just like my oldest username, online handle thing from back in the arse end of forever. I genuinely can't remember where that one came from. And SorcererDave was literally just a later username I made up on other sites that I wanted to use with a different username, which was based on a D&D character I once played who was a sorcerer called Dave. That's that mystery solved. So the reason I changed it was because there is another YouTuber called Jingles. He's far more popular than I am. He does lots of World of Tanks, World of Warship style content. And early on, I just decided, right, instead of just sort of awkwardly sharing the same name as this guy, I'll change my name. I actually sent an email to him. It's like, hi, I've accidentally got the same name as you. Honest to God, it was an accident. I wasn't copying you or anything. And he was really cool about it and was like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And I was like, I'll change my name. And he's like, you don't have to. I was like, no, I'm going to do it. It's probably for the best. And he was like, okay. So yeah, the Mighty Jingles, I believe, is his sort of tagline. And yeah, he makes like World of Warships type video stuff. And he's a pretty cool dude, actually. I'm just not really interested in the games he plays, unfortunately, so I don't really watch his stuff. But he seemed like a reasonable gent. So yeah. Right. Okay, I think that's the final and the last of Javonte's questions, and that will be it for this video, I think. Wait. No, there was also the Elder Scrolls 6 he asked me about, but I'll tell you what, we'll get onto that in another video, because there were plenty of people who asked that, don't worry. But for now, I'm going to wrap it up. This is part 1 of the Q&A, which took way longer than I thought it would. Brilliant. I'll be back with the part 2 very shortly, folks. So, yeah. BRB, I guess. Well, I mean, yeah, I'll probably upload all of these almost in one go, honestly. I'll just shove up every single Q&A episode at once. I don't see a reason why not to. Why to stretch it out over, like, weeks? That'd be silly, I think. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit, because you'll be able to just click the next video immediately, I would imagine. So yeah, BRB.